Welcome back. Today's Reddit story starts with one shocking decision that changed everything forever. Let's begin. After a severe auto collision, I requested that she collect me from the emergency department. Her response was that she regretted it but was dining with her male closest companion and could not abandon the meal. I messaged back simply, "All right." What the law enforcement official revealed to her upon arriving at their restaurant table completely altered the tone of her meal with her companion. Crises reveal a great deal about individuals. I understand this as a result of my role as an emergency medical technician. Daily, I encounter people during the darkest moments of their existence. I observe their responses and the manner in which they treat one another while sirens blare and circumstances collapse. I have witnessed unknown individuals clasping the hands of those nearing death. I have observed spouses sobbing over their wounded partners. I have witnessed humanity at its finest amid the most terrible circumstances. Then came my partner, Kate, and a vehicle crash that exposed the pure reality of her nature. Our relationship had lasted 2 years. We shared the residence I occupied, a space I had labored intensely to secure. Outwardly, the situation appeared positive. She brought energy, attractiveness, and served as the center of attention at gatherings. I remained the reserved, dependable partner. I believed we complemented each other well. I offered steadiness while she supplied stimulation. The primary source of tension involved her male closest companion, an individual called Julian. Julian came from wealth and held a consulting position, which appeared to involve frequent midday meals at costly establishments and the provision of unwanted guidance. Kate and Julian remained constantly connected. She consistently characterized their connection as unique. They shared private humor from which I was excluded, and their messaging remained continuous and private. Jealousy is not part of my character. My profession has trained me to remain composed during stress. Yet their intimacy always seemed inappropriate. It seemed as though I occupied the position of an outsider in their exclusive narrative. Nevertheless, I placed confidence in her. I elected to accept her assurance that they maintained only friendship. That confidence suffered a violent and irreversible destruction the previous Tuesday. I was traveling home following an extended work period. Heavy rain fell. A young driver in a modified Civic disregarded a traffic signal and struck my vehicle squarely on the driver's side. The force proved devastating. Chaos erupted with screeching metal, breaking glass, and the sickening sound of my automobile collapsing around me. My next recollection involves my coworkers, fellow emergency medical technicians, extracting me from the debris. Secured to a spinal board, my head throbbed intensely, and my left arm had clearly fractured. While they transferred me into the ambulance, a law enforcement official I recognized, a reliable officer named Dave, approached. "Listen, friend," he stated with a serious expression. "Your automobile is destroyed. We are arranging for its removal. We require an emergency contact to inform regarding the collision and the location of the vehicle. Whom should we notify?" My partner, Kate, I replied despite the discomfort. I provided her contact information. The journey to the emergency department passed in a haze. They removed my work clothing, administered pain medication, and initiated examinations. Imaging verified the diagnosis. A clean fracture of the left upper arm bone accompanied by a moderate head injury. No internal hemorrhage, fortunately. I suffered bruises and trauma throughout my body, yet recovery remained certain. Approximately 60 minutes later, a medical staff member entered. "We have attempted multiple times to reach your emergency contact, Kate," she explained. "There has been no response. Is another individual available for us to contact?" Disappointment settled over me. No response. I understood her location precisely. Tuesday represented her regular extended midday meal occasion with Julian. Using my uninjured hand, I retrieved my device. The display had cracked yet remained functional. I transmitted a message. "Hello, I have suffered a serious auto collision. I am currently in the emergency department at St. Mary's. My arm has fractured. Could you collect me? The automobile is destroyed." I remained patient. Shortly afterward, the indication of typing appeared. Then arrived her response. That message would redirect the entire path of my existence. "Kate, oh my goodness, that sounds terrible." I regret learning of it, yet I am presently engaged in a truly significant midday meal with Julian. I cannot simply depart, perhaps arrange a taxi or alternative transport. Inform me of developments. I examined the message once. Then I examined it a second time. A peculiar, detached clarity overcame me, piercing the cloud of medication. She had not merely disregarded me. She had placed a social midday meal with another individual above my authentic, confirmed crisis. I occupied a hospital bed while she concerned herself with interrupting her first course. The final support of our partnership had disintegrated completely. I recalled the law enforcement official Dave. I recalled that official contact with her remained necessary. A strategy started to develop, a detached, exact, and perfectly suitable strategy. I captured an image of her message. Then I replied with one word, "All right." Next, I contacted Officer Dave. "Hello, Dave," I spoke with steady tone. "This is Adam Sterling. Appreciation for your assistance at the location. Regarding the attempt to reach my emergency contact, Kate. She is not responding to calls, yet I know her precise location. Completing the documentation requires contact with her. She is presently at an establishment named the Gilded Spoon in the Central District. An officer speaking with her face-to-face to convey the details appears essential." Dave, as a capable officer and reliable acquaintance, grasped the situation at once. "Certainly, Adam," he replied with added firmness in his tone. "We will send personnel immediately for direct notification. Concentrate on recovery." I ended the conversation. I reclined against the medical facility cushions. Kate was engaged in a truly significant midday meal. I suspected interruption approached soon. Update 1. The 60 minutes spent waiting upon that emergency department bed ranked among the most illuminating of my existence. Physical discomfort persisted. A persistent, pulsing sensation in the arm and head, yet emotional distress had transformed into a form of detached determination. The disloyalty proved so complete, so deep, that it bypassed ordinary sensations of injury and sorrow. Remaining was only a controlled, directed resentment and a requirement for firm measures. My acquaintance and coworker Mike, who had arrived in the ambulance that transported me, visited to assess my condition. One glance at my expression informed him that difficulty existed beyond the fractured limb. "What is occurring, friend?" he inquired. "You appear prepared to initiate conflict." I displayed the message from Kate. He examined it and his expression grew severe. "You cannot be serious," he stated quietly. "She selected a midday meal over this situation involving that Julian individual." "She did," I verified. "What action will you take?" he inquired. "I have already acted," I explained. I arranged for law enforcement to visit her establishment for direct notification. Mike regarded me briefly, then released a quiet sound of amazement. "Friend, that approach is harsh yet clever." Details of events at the Gilded Spoon reached me afterward from Officer Dave, who had received them from the 2 patrol personnel he assigned. The outcome exceeded my expectations. The Gilded Spoon represents an establishment focused entirely upon image. It carries high cost, follows current trends, and consistently attracts individuals seeking visibility. Kate and Julian occupied a prominent table beside the window, sharing amusement and a bottle of costly pink wine. 2 uniformed law enforcement officials entered the establishment. Immediate quiet settled over the space. Officers do not appear at such locations without purpose. Patrons began observing and speaking softly. The officials moved steadily and purposefully across the dining area, examining the tables. They halted precisely at the table occupied by Kate and Julian. One official, a tall, commanding figure with a grave expression, addressed Kate directly. "Madam, are you Kate Miller?" he inquired in a composed volume sufficient for nearby tables to hear distinctly. Kate raised her gaze, displaying confusion and irritation. "Affirmative," she replied. "Does a difficulty exist, officer? We are present concerning a significant vehicle impact involving your partner, Mr. Adam Sterling," the official declared in an even official manner. Ambulance personnel transported him to St. Mary's Hospital from the collision site with notable injuries. Color left Kate's features. Julian observed with his wine vessel suspended midway to his mouth. The official proceeded without variation in tone. His automobile suffered total destruction in the impact. Efforts to reach you have continued for the past 120 minutes since you appear as his primary emergency contact. Mr. Sterling indicated we would locate you at this location. He requested official direct notification of the event and information that coordination with the towing service will be necessary regarding retrieval of any personal items from the automobile. Each statement struck forcefully. Significant vehicle impact, ambulance transport, notable injuries, automobile destroyed, emergency contact. The official leveled no accusations against her. He merely presented the detached, solid, official information. Yet through that presentation, he created an image visible to every person in the establishment. A man occupied a hospital after a serious collision while his partner, his emergency contact, enjoyed a relaxed midday meal with another individual, completely unreachable. According to the account, Julian regarded Kate with a transformed expression. The appealing midday meal companion vanished, replaced by an individual observing a stranger who had displayed a foundation of startling self-interest. The official completed his statement. That concludes the information, madam. Proceeding to the hospital would be advisable. The two officials then reversed direction and departed the establishment with the same composure as their entrance. They left behind a void of quiet, a table of unfinished dishes, and the destroyed standing of a woman who had been revealed publicly at her most indifferent. Her truly significant midday meal had concluded officially. Update 2, the period immediately following, brought an expected wave of disorder, which I watched from the composed, secure setting of my medical facility room. Following release from the emergency department with my arm supported and several medications provided, my sibling arrived to transport me. She had functioned as my genuine emergency contact throughout, and I had contacted her immediately after concluding with law enforcement. The intensity of her reaction upon hearing the account involving Kate could have generated energy for a modest municipality. She brought me to her residence for recovery. Returning to my own residence held no appeal until removal of Kate's presence had occurred. Kate naturally began flooding my device with messages, a sequence of desperate texts and unanswered calls. Adam, I am traveling toward the hospital. I regret everything. My device remained muted. A typical inadequate falsehood. What is your location? They indicated your release. Why do you refuse to respond? I am experiencing panic. Responsibility for this situation belongs entirely to you. You arranged for officers to visit my midday meal in order to disgrace me. The shift from pretended worry to angry blame occurred rapidly and revealed much. I provided no response to any communication. I simply prevented further contact from her number. The accurate account of her afternoon arrived from Julian. He proved uninterested in continuing as a secondary figure in her difficulties. He transmitted a communication through social media that evening. The content proved unexpectedly straightforward. Hello, Adam, it stated. Although we are not closely acquainted, I accompanied Kate during the midday meal today. I wish to clarify that I possessed no knowledge of your collision. The moment the officers departed, I settled my portion of the expense and left the location. Her dismissal of a matter of such gravity. That is not an individual with whom I desire association. Regret exists for any contribution I made toward difficulties in your partnership. I have ended contact with her. Wishes for rapid improvement. The message served his own interests, of course, intending to remove any personal responsibility. Yet it verified my success. I had not merely disgraced her. I had displayed her authentic nature to the precise individual she sought to impress. She had lost both her partner and her closest companion within the same afternoon. Assisted by my sibling, I advanced the remainder of my strategy. While I rested, she functioned as my organizer. She contacted a relocation service specializing in property clearance following separations. She met them at my residence the following day. They placed every possession belonging to Kate into containers. Every article of clothing, every footwear, every volume into containers. Instructions directed them to arrange the containers orderly in the main living space. Next, my sibling contacted a security specialist. The entry mechanisms received replacement. Finally, she transmitted an official electronic message to Kate from a fresh address. The heading stated recovery of personal items. The content explained, Kate, this communication notifies you that the partnership with Adam Sterling has concluded. Since your name does not appear on the occupancy agreement for his residence, your presence there has also concluded. Every personal possession belonging to you has been placed into containers. A period of 48 hours exists for you to arrange professional collection. Contact me, Adam's sibling, at this electronic address to establish a precise 2-hour interval. Upon arrival at the location, you will receive entry solely for the purpose of collecting your possessions. Remaining within the residence afterward will not be allowed. Failure to remove the property within the 48-hour period will result in treatment as abandoned material and subsequent disposal. Any effort to communicate with Adam directly will be regarded as unwanted contact. The approach remained detached, it remained lawful, and it remained conclusive. She had left me during my time of requirement. I now applied identical impersonal practical distance toward her. Final update. 7 months have passed since the collision. My arm has recovered, the head injury has faded into the past, and my existence has become peacefully, wonderfully calm. Kate, following instructions, arranged with my sibling for collection of her possessions. The account I received indicated she arrived accompanied by her parent, appearing quiet and discouraged. She uttered no statements throughout the process. She merely guided the relocation personnel her parent had engaged, cleared the containers, and placed the entry device upon the surface. The social consequences for her proved from available information complete. The account of officers arriving at the Gilded Spoon transformed into a notable piece of discussion within her social group. It represented a narrative lacking any favorable interpretation. No individual could justify her conduct. She became known as the woman who selected a midday meal over her partner in the emergency department. Her efforts to portray me as a calculating antagonist collapsed dramatically because the fundamental facts proved so damaging. She lost the majority of her companions not through loyalty toward me, but through discomfort at association with her. She attempted communication approximately 30 days previously. An extended wandering electronic message filled with justifications and incomplete expressions of regret. She claimed sudden fear had overcome her. She claimed unclear thought processes. She claimed Julian had applied substantial influence. It represented an expert demonstration of transferring responsibility. She concluded by expressing longing for me and the reliable existence we shared, and by claiming she had gained understanding. I provided no response. I simply established a new sorting rule in my electronic system, directing any material from her address straight into discarded items. Her understanding held no relevance for me. My response did not center upon the officers or the public display. Those elements served merely as the method of delivery. The genuine response existed in the calm, firm manner in which I removed her from my existence. She had regarded me as a minor inconvenience, a secondary figure within her stimulating existence. Therefore, I simply eliminated her from my narrative. I reclaimed the existence I had constructed, the reliability she had assumed would continue, and made it exclusively my own, completely and entirely. The most rewarding element remains the calm awareness that I recognized the reality and responded without delay. A partnership constitutes a shared arrangement, and the primary principle of a shared arrangement requires presence during critical moments. She did not merely fail the examination. She ignited the examination materials and departed with amusement. The expression upon her features when the law enforcement official approached her table represented only the initial outcome. The vacant residence, the silent device, the existence she forfeited, those constituted the genuine instruction. She could not risk illness prior to her enjoyable journey. Ultimately, I became the individual who achieved recovery. I eliminated the affliction from my existence, and that affliction consisted of her.